First, let me just say, Julie, thanks for sticking it out with us and problem solving with us. Yeah, this was good. So here we are to discuss. As many of you guys know, we've made a bit of a pivot here at PivotMe, and what we changed is that we wanted to get this information out. And when I say this information, I mean talking to business owners on how they are handling this global pandemic we're in. How are they shifting their business? How are they finding opportunities? How are they supporting their staff during this time? And when we were doing the standard recording episodes and then releasing them through the usual podcast channels, the information, it needed to be timely. It needed to be relevant to what was happening today because things are changing pretty rapidly. So we shifted to this live approach so that we could bring the information out quicker. So we could share resources. We can hear how people are handling it in different parts of the world, the opportunities they're identifying. We didn't want there to be a delay. And so that brings us to today, PivotMe Live. And we are very lucky to we actually have two guests today. Julie is our first guest, and thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Yes, Julie Holmes, inventor of HeyMic, the Bluetooth microphone, and co-founder of Just Innovate Inc. I love that you are a corporate survivor. So glad that you came through that. Technology and innovation expert, and we'll give where you can find Julie and social links at the end. But thank you so much for joining us today, Julie.
It is my pleasure.
Thank you. So let's just get right into it. So tell us about what you do, who you do it for, and also how you guys are coping during this time.
So we create, manufacture, and sell products. Namely, our flagship product is HeyMic, which is a wireless Bluetooth microphone that connects to your smartphone and to any other device and gives you great audio on your videos and recordings up to 65 feet away. So that's kind of the HeyMic spiel. So that is our primary product that we support and sell. And we sell that all over the world. So we've got customers in probably about 35 to 40 different countries now. And we sell via e-commerce primarily. And then we also have some partners and kind of things like that as well.
Wow. Okay. And I would imagine that would be highly applicable right now because there's a lot of people moving to a digital platform.
There is a lot of content creation happening at the moment. And interestingly enough, our microphone is used a lot in schools as well. So teachers are using it for distance learning. And of course, we have a lot of other communities that are using it. But content creators are our primary market. So, we see people that are yoga instructors and people who are doing video blogs, and we have people who interview stand-up paddleboarders. And then we have a whole variety of people that use it as well for their day-to-day. So we've gotten videos from people who've used our HeyMic at their wedding to record their wedding vows. And so it's all over the place.
Wow. Highly applicable. Okay. Yeah. And versatile as well. So talk to us about how you guys are managing during this time, maybe some challenges that you're facing at this time.
Right now, so we're in a pretty good position as in terms of a business. So we've done a pretty good job of making sure that that we have always maintained a certain level of cash reserves. Mm-hmm. So in that respect, it's meant that we haven't had to go into a panic mode right now. We are panicking a little bit, but not because of funds, but more because of distribution challenges. Mm. So that is honestly our biggest challenge at the moment is, as you can imagine, well, you can actually see this on Amazon. If you wanted to go and buy a webcam right now, you would be hard pressed to find a webcam. Mm. And so that becomes challenging. And it's the same thing with us. So just, distribution overload, some countries, lots of things are delayed. We have a distribution facility in the UK, and that distribution facility is completely closed now. So they are on, kind of full lockdown. And so we are trying to reroute orders and doing a lot of, spur of the moment kind of customer management and trying to stay in touch with everybody as best we can. And, we're really lucky. We have some fantastic customers and they are doing their very best to be patient. And so we're quite lucky in that regard. But yeah, there's a lot of creative thinking happening right now for sure.
I bet that came up actually on one of our earlier calls with the CEO of Hide It Mounts. She said, I don't know if everyone is aware of this, but non-essential items we're not able to ship anything else to Amazon for them to push out. And I think the average customer isn't necessarily aware of that because they're going, well, I can go on and I can order certain things.
Yeah.
And is it that you can order whatever Amazon has sitting in their warehouse, but then once that's done, the manufacturer can't push anymore to the distributor, right?
Well, I think that's part of it. I also, and it's interesting. Amazon hasn't particularly communicated well to sellers. So, some of us sell on Amazon in two ways. So I sell on Amazon directly, right? So you can actually go on Amazon and purchase a HeyMic, but we also use Amazon as a fulfillment service. And now we're pushing our European stock through Amazon fulfillment as well. So we're an Amazon FBA partner, Fulfillment by Amazon. And so we're kind of guessing a little bit. Amazon just has not been communicating with sellers as well as I would have liked. So, where we could historically prioritize orders and put them into priority shipping, now I'm getting notifications back from Amazon saying, great, that'll be shipped in a month. And I'm thinking, what a month? You've got inventory. And then you're right. We have so much inventory that we keep in stock. Amazon has always encouraged us to keep minimal inventory. And we pay for that inventory to be stored at Amazon. And so, there is a certain kind of nail biting moment where you go, wow, people are trying to buy our products. That would be good for our business. But we have to, we're subject to another business. And this is this complex string of relationships that happens all the time. And now we're just feeling the impact of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple questions about that, especially for our manufacturers and even for distributors that are listening. So for example, you said we have a UK distributor, they're currently closed.
Yep.
Are you trying to still service them, or are you trying to, is it just customer service? Hey, there's delays, work with us. Or are you saying, hey, here's our distributors in other parts of the world, we're trying to reroute it still to you?
Yeah. So we're doing a couple different things. So where we can, so we have stock at Amazon UK. So where we can, instead of directly fulfilling those, we are now doing FBA, Amazon UK, and that gets us to most of Europe. But there are some countries that Amazon UK won't ship to. And those orders, I have somebody who works for us in the UK, and, she's like, well, I could mail some out. And I'm like, great. So now, she's going to run down to the post office and, I don't know, we're going to try and figure it out. We're trying to get as creative as possible. And we don't know how long the situation's going to last. So that always leaves us a little bit creative and trying to go, okay, so let's just plug the holes now and see if we can keep things moving as best we can, stay in touch with our customers, try and keep everybody updated on what's happening. And then at the same time, right, do we need to come up with something more like, do I need to, I have inventory here in the States. Do I need to package up inventory in the States and ship it to Europe and know that it's going to take, 2 weeks to get there? Hard to tell. We're doing the best we can, I think, which is what everybody's doing right now.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. And have you seen demand change so far? I understand supply is tough, but what about demand?
Well, we made a decision a little over a week ago. Actually, I don't even think it was a week ago, but we made a decision as a business that we were going to discount our product because the majority of our clients and customers are small businesses. So these are content creators, they're teachers, they are public service employees, things like that. We just kind of made an executive decision that we wanted to lower the price of our product, even though, so basically we were going to take a hit on margin in hopes that it would help a lot of people be productive during a very difficult time in their business.
Wow.
So that was kind of a decision that we made. So yeah, we've seen a spike in sales, not surprisingly. So that's, we're juggling a lot more orders right now. So yes, we've seen a spike in sales. I don't think that that's necessarily down to, well, it might be down to two things. One thing it's down to, of course, is a price change. So, we've cut the price in half. And then we haven't really set an end date on that. We've just said, look, we get it. People are struggling and they're trying to get things done and they're trying to cut corners in their business where they can and to save costs where they can. We can help a little bit. So this is our way of helping. And then I think people are at home and they've got time and they're using that time to build up their business. And our tool is a good asset for that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I got to say, hats off to you, cutting it by 50%. That's really substantial. You don't see that in the marketplace a lot. So that's quite a bold move.
Well, thank you. I have to say, I was really heartened the week before we did that. I just kept getting all these messages from vendors, and I was so impressed by the number of organizations who really are trying. So where they can, I have just been floored by how the business community, particularly the business community that supports small businesses like ours, and solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, I have been amazed and just heartened by how much so many businesses are giving back. So I'm proud to be amongst that group.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. So talk to us about your staff. Are they in the office? Do you have field, remote? What does that look like? And then how have you had to change that in light of what's going on?
So we don't have an office. So we have always been remote. We have a couple people that work with us on a contract basis. We don't have any full-time staff. We've done a couple of things. And then of course we have some partners. And I think that's maybe the more obvious way that many of us run our businesses is with partnerships. So for some of our partners, like our distribution partner, and their offices are closed right now. For our staff or for our team that works with us, we are doing a couple of different things. And again, we're in a good position because we had those cash reserves. So one of the questions I asked our primary employee, so this is somebody who works about probably 3/4 of her time with us. And, basically was, right, how are you doing financially? Are you guys okay? What can we do to help? And she said, look, I'm getting my hours cut back with this other organization. Could we ramp up hours? I was like, absolutely. Let's come up with a list of things that we need to get done. And let's, make sure that's contributing. And we've been really clear with the people that work with us. Look, if you need something, let us know. So we're doing our very best to support our staff and trying to make sure that they've got the resources they need to focus on work. Because, I think if we look at some of them and they're struggling generally, financially, or they're struggling personally, then of course they can't focus on our business. And we have to respect that. This is a tough time emotionally for people. So checking in with them, that's one of the things that we've been doing. And those are, we've been trying to just bring all of that back together to make sure that everybody has what they need and can give us everything they can and want to give us, so that we can work together effectively.
Yeah, that's amazing. One thing that's come up on a lot of the PivotMe lives is communication. That communication is so important right now. And that's to our staff. That's to our clients, just saying, hey, we're here. We're going to get through this. What hurdles are you facing? Can we help you over those? And that has come up over and over again. And it sounds like that's exactly what you guys are doing as well. Even if we don't know exactly what to say, sometimes just showing up and saying, hey, how are you doing? And, and you said something really important. You said making sure that they have the ability to focus, because we're all managing what's unprecedented, perhaps, is the distraction we're all managing right now. And is there something that you've done? Let me take a step back. So are you guys still having regularly scheduled meetings? And is there some more flexibility that you've added to, okay, well, now we used to have a morning huddle at 9 a.m. and now it needs to change because people have kiddos at home. Talk to us about what that looks like.
Yeah, we've always been really flexible. So we've never, said, right, we're going to have a 9 a.m. meeting. So that's been easy for us. We leverage WhatsApp a lot. So WhatsApp is our primary communication platform because we're international. And so, it's great for us to have communication tools like that, where they can send messages any time of day that works for them. We can reply and keep track of those replies. We, of course, have a customer support system in place. So we've got, customer support tickets that we can monitor, and we can all chip in and help. And I think maybe that's the best way to describe it, is that we're all hands on deck, and we're all hands on deck in whatever time zone we're in.
It's funny because that is a challenge with running a global company is, there's managing the time zones that can't be understated. So we use WhatsApp a lot. We use Slack as well, but it's funny because it's kind of a joke in our household that we can tell when India's online, because bing, 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 you can start and you can hear when, the UK is online or there's like 3 or 4 different time zones that you just know the second that everyone showed up for work, because you start hearing all the messages come through.
Yeah. And we've definitely been, like I can remember I messaged, in fact, this morning, I was messaging one of our UK people and I was like, hey, are you online? She's like, I'm at the store. And I'm like, fair enough. You go to the store when you can go to the store.
When you can go to the store. It is an interesting perspective too, because you're kind of witnessing this around the world, and so you're having a conversation with someone that is in Scotland and said, hey, we went to the grocery store a couple of times and there was no food there, which might look totally different than how someone in Sydney is handling it versus how someone in, Montreal. It's been really enlightening to see how everybody's sort of weathering this storm and the response, and just being sensitive to where our staff and our clients are, because they're in different places. I mean, not just geographically, but just emotionally, and the challenges and the distractions that they're managing, and really meeting them where they are, because it might look a little different than how, Ohio is handling it versus how San Francisco is handling it, and just being really aware and sensitive to that as well.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing that too. When you get into the more rural areas, and we have customers there, and I am, one of my other businesses as a professional speaker, and even just talking to associations who have members all over the world, just different things that they're saying. Like, there are still parts of the world, parts of America, where people are like, I just don't see what the big deal is.
Yeah.
And so they are in a different place, and that's been really interesting to try and, okay, how do I kind of raise awareness, but not, be inflammatory, or it's been very sensitive.
Yeah. It's a tough place to navigate. We have a similar, so my husband's from Spain, and so we have a lot of family in Spain, and we see it from a different perspective. Spain's been very, very hard hit. So when you're talking to cousins and aunts and uncles, and they're kind of giving us, hey, this is what you guys could be like in 2 to 3 weeks. Please heed caution. It's a different exposure than when you're talking to someone who's in, rural Texas, and they're like, I don't see what's the big deal. Like, we're fine here. So, yeah, it does give you an interesting perspective for sure. For sure. And you do walk a fine line where you want people to, be responsible and heed the advice of the trusted advisors. And I'll say that again, trusted advisors, people that are CDC and the WHO and virologists and people like that, really heed those. But also, we have to keep moving ahead, moving our businesses ahead. And that's a big part of why we're doing this right now, is just, okay, let's talk about how we move business ahead. I've mentioned on the show a few times that we're responsible for that. It's incumbent upon us to keep the economic engine revving, and the businesses open, and the people that depend on us, both the clients and the staff. It's important that we keep looking for the opportunities, and we can't have the conversations around what's no longer available. The conversations really need to be focused on what is still available.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think you're absolutely right. And making sure that I think what you described is perfect. We just all have a social responsibility right now. And so while I'm a big fan of, great, let's build products, let's be entrepreneurs, let's be inventors, I think that we also have to look at our role within the community as members and contributors to that community, and how can we give back? How can we be supportive? What do we have to offer? And everybody has something to share.
Sure. They sure do. And that's whether it's a business owner or you're not a business owner. If you're furloughed from your job right now, you absolutely have something to contribute to this world. And I always say that we're all influencers. Like, we think that's a title reserved for someone with a big, audience or social media platform. It's not. We influence people every single day. So we've got to be very aware and intentional on how we're influencing them. Are we elevating people? Are we educating people? Are we helping them move past this? Or are we judging them? Or are we making them fearful? So it's just so important that we're aware of the influence that we have right now. So to kind of tee up to our next question, and real quick, I was able to pull the feed from Facebook, and I just want to give a shout out. We've got Gina Marie and Eric are on. I see a few other people, Kumad, I see Pamela, Tammy, Suzanne, Jerry. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And by all means, if you guys have questions, either put it in the comments or send us a separate DM. Julie, can you talk to us about the opportunities that exist right now? So just like we were saying, we can't focus on the things that we can't do. We're focusing on what we can do. What opportunities exist during this time?
Well, I've had a number of conversations, in fact, one yesterday with a startup. So there are still startups out there trying to put together business plans. They're using their furlough time to finally put things into action. So I've had conversations with a number of people who are like, yep, I've got this great idea, and I think your microphone's a part of it. So let's talk about what that looks like. So I think that's probably one of the biggest ways that we're seeing people kind of new opportunities that are surfacing. People have often, just needed time. They need time to come up with those new ideas and to invest in those ideas. I am still seeing a lot of conversations on a lot of content. In fact, there's a massive amount of content creation happening right now. I've got a lot of Zooms. There are a lot of Zooms in my life at the moment. So that's definitely another factor too, right? Is the number of Zooms that are happening and the way people are connecting with each other and making new partnerships and building new relationships. Those are some of the best opportunities that I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, I bet. Are you guys using this time? So this sounds like there's business opportunities, but are you guys using this time as well for maybe strategic? Let me rephrase it. So like looking at your forecasting, looking at your core values, doing sort of that basic, building the bedrock of our business. On a few of the earlier calls, it was someone's getting more familiar with their CRM or their inventory management system. Are you using the time for that sort of stuff as well?
We are, we've definitely, as I said before, right, talking to the people that work with me and saying, right, what do you need? Do you need more time? Great. Let's come up with things for you to do. And a lot of those are things that have just been on the back burner and, they've been important, but they haven't been a priority. Sure. So now it's great. Now we have time and we have resource. Let's make that a priority. So some of that is kind of checking off lists of things that we've meant to get done along the way. And, but yeah, that's definitely an avenue that we're looking at is how do we leverage this time to restabilize or to build an even stronger foundation for the business so that when things ramp back up from a market perspective, not just from our sales perspective, but from a market perspective, we're in a good position to take advantage of that.
One of the things that came up on our earlier calls is someone said, what's my competitive advantage right now? Yeah. What can I do that my competitors aren't doing? And there are a lot of people that are kind of just, well, let's wait and see. And I've heard that even on client calls, they're like, should we wait and see what's going on with the marketplace? The problem is there's a lot of uncertainty, but people will move while you're waiting and seeing.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think the other thing is to remember that our past customers. So one of our initiatives that should happen next week, once we get it all organized, is that we'll do a massive outreach to all of our past clients and ask for testimonials. So this is our chance as well, knowing that our customers are probably sitting around and potentially have some downtime. How can we take advantage of them as a resource as well? Right. So here's what we're doing. We get to stay in touch with them. But at the same time, they're probably in a position right now where they've got some time to contribute back to us as an organization. And that's a good use as well.
Yeah. Customer testimonials. That's a great call because that's always on everyone's list, but it's hard for you internally to have the time and allocate resources for that, but also for the customers to be able to show up and give the proper testimonial. So that's a great use of time.
Yeah. And a great opportunity to leverage new tech. I spend a lot of time, as you know, I spend a lot of time on tech and tech and innovation. And I've been looking at all kinds of new tools and apps that support that. So this is the way that we keep that engine running, right? So I'm going to buy some new software. I'm going to buy some new tools. And, in that way, I'm going to help another small business. And then I'm going to reach out to my customers and they're going to give a testimonial and they're going to help spread the word about our products, which is going to help other small businesses. And we've just got to keep those wheels turning.
Sure. Now, one of the things that had come up before as well was people found that clients needed a little bit more handholding right now, needed a little bit more words of comfort. And now that was a few days ago, but I'm curious if you're still seeing that, Julie, if you've got to show up in a certain way for either your staff or your customers and just let them know, hey, we're going to make it through this. It's going to be okay. We're going to be here to support you through this.
Yeah, I think that is true to a certain extent. I think it impacts us a little bit less. Certainly, we're having those conversations internally with our team. I think for our product, which is more of a commodity product, so it's not like a high ticket item or anything like that. I think there's a massive difference in how much you're asking people to invest or where they are in terms of like the buying pyramid. Right? Okay. Are you selling something very expensive? Are you selling something that's hugely strategic? Our product, our primary product is very tactical.
Okay.
And it's typically a commodity purchase. So people just look at it and they go, I can afford that. I will buy it. I'm not going to give it a ton of thought past that.
Sure.
We are doing a lot more, like explaining, like we have a splash screen on our website, that explains why we're discounting our prices and, things like that. So we are communicating it out, but we are definitely not in a position where we have to do a lot of hand holding for our clients at the moment, which is good, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you share with us some resources that you guys are using during this time? And to give context, that could be software. You mentioned WhatsApp.
Yeah.
What are you guys using and what could you share with us?
Yeah, so we're definitely, we're using WhatsApp, as you said, right? So we're using WhatsApp as a huge communication platform. We also have Live Agent, which is our support service. And I would be, we would fall apart without something like that, which helps us to maintain all of our support services and to keep everybody in contact. The tools that I'm looking at right now, I'm looking at things like, I use Dub already, which is like a video voicemail system. So using Dub to be able to send out a video asking for testimonials and to get a video back with their testimonial is pretty cool. And then we're also looking at tools like Repuso, which is, I think that's what it's called, where that's allows us to monitor for feedback on our product. So every time sales spike, we have to be monitoring what's being said online and keeping track of all of that. So, we should always be following those trends to make sure that we're supporting our clients. So those are some of the tools that we're using. Mostly we're talking. There is, this is the time to be on video. If we can't be with each other in person, then we should be on video. Being able to look somebody in the eye and to not just read their message, but to be able to hear them say it, to see the expression on their face, to know when they're feeling uncertain and to be able to give them that certainty back. That's probably one of the most valuable things that we're doing from a technology perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. Our interview yesterday with Jackie, she runs J&H Insurance in Calgary. And she said, be sure you're talking because right now everybody's listening.
Yeah.
And I thought that's really, it's really true. So let's do this. So we've got a lot of business owners that are listening. What words of encouragement would you give them? What piece of advice would you leave them with? We've got 2 follow-up questions after that, but what would you say?
I think the biggest piece of advice I would give is look after your people. We have a massive responsibility as business owners and as founders. We set the tone, but mostly, those people are counting on us. And this is where the rubber meets the road, in my opinion, right? This is where, as a business owner, we put everyone else ahead of ourselves. And some of us, did that when we started up, and now we think we don't have to do that anymore. Or maybe we feel like we've paid our dues. In times of crisis, I think we all go back to paying our dues again. So that's the biggest piece of advice, is look after your people because you need them and they need you right now.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Julie, you've given us some great information, some great tips. How do we support you during this time? What can we do for you?
Well, I think easily, as you can always go out and grab yourself a HeyMic. We're always eager to have more wonderful, amazing customers that are doing content creation. So you can reach us at loveheymic.com, LOVEHEYMIC, loveheymic.com. That's our website. To reach me personally, people can email me at julie@julieholmes.com. So I think those are 2 of the easy ways.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for hopping on. As mentioned earlier, we do have a second interview. So you either are welcome to stay on, Julie, or hop off, whatever works for you. I know you've got a busy schedule, but thank you so much for your chat today and your flexibility with our tech issues at the beginning as well.
It is my pleasure. It is my pleasure. I'm going to hop off so that you have more screen space for everybody else. And then I'm going to listen to it on live. It was such a pleasure, April. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you, Julie. You too. Take care.